Toxic people, manipulators, energy drainers, and emotional instigators are an inevitable part of life. They challenge us, provoke us, and sometimes leave us questioning our self-worth. But while we cannot always control their behavior, we have the power to control how we respond. This is where Stoicism, the ancient philosophy of resilience and virtue, becomes an invaluable guide. For centuries, Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca have taught that inner peace doesn't depend on external circumstances. In their view, a toxic person has no power over you unless you grant them access to your mind and emotions. Stoicism teaches us that the key to overcoming such negativity lies not in trying to change the other person, but in transforming how we perceive and react to them. At its core, Stoicism is about mastering oneself. It offers tools to rise above the chaos, see challenges as opportunities for growth, and reclaim the freedom to live with dignity and peace. Unlike other philosophies that might emphasize passive tolerance or outright confrontation, Stoicism strikes a powerful balance. It teaches you to remain calm, centered, and unyielding in your values, while also encouraging empathy and understanding. In this script, we'll explore 10 transformative Stoic principles to help you deal with toxic people effectively and gracefully. From controlling your reactions to setting boundaries, from cultivating inner peace to using adversity as a teacher, these lessons will not only help you neutralize negativity, but also empower you to grow stronger and more virtuous in the process. This is not about temporary fixes or quick retaliation. It's about building a mindset so robust that no insult, manipulation, or toxicity can disturb your equanimity. Each chapter builds upon the last, creating a comprehensive guide to mastering your interactions and, most importantly, yourself. By the end of this journey, you'll discover that the ultimate secret to overpowering toxic people is realizing they have no real power over you unless you let them. Are you ready to unlock the Stoic path to freedom? Let's begin. To overcome toxic people, the first and most crucial step is to understand them, and more importantly, to understand how they affect you. Stoicism teaches us that external things, including the behavior of others, are not inherently good or bad. What makes them seem one way or the other is our judgment of them. As Epictetus famously said, "It is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them." This principle is the cornerstone of your freedom from toxic individuals. Toxic people often thrive on eliciting emotional reactions from others. They may provoke anger, instill fear, or manipulate you into doubt and self-loathing. But here's the truth the Stoics want you to internalize. Their behavior has no power over your inner state unless you allow it. While toxic behavior is undeniably harmful in certain contexts, its impact depends entirely on how you perceive and respond to it. Stoicism gives us the clarity to break this cycle. To a Stoic, the term toxic person is not about labeling someone as inherently bad. Instead, it's about recognizing actions and behaviors that are misaligned with virtue. Toxicity often stems from ignorance, insecurity, or misguided beliefs. A toxic person might be someone consumed by anger, envy, or selfishness. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us to look deeper. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, "The people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil." This doesn't mean we should excuse or enable toxic behavior. It means we should understand that their actions reflect their internal struggles, not our worth. This perspective protects you from taking their words or actions personally. A toxic person's behavior is a reflection of their character, not yours. By embracing this truth, you begin to reclaim your power. A key Stoic practice in dealing with toxicity is detachment. Detachment doesn't mean indifference to harm or injustice. It means separating your peace of mind from the chaos caused by others. Toxic people may try to manipulate you into emotional reactions because it gives them a sense of control. But when you detach, you take that power away. You observe their behavior, understand its roots, and decide how or if you want to respond. This is the essence of Stoic freedom. Toxicity often flourishes when we feel the need to control others, whether to change their behavior, seek their approval, or prove something to them. But the Stoics remind us that attempting to control anything outside our own mind is futile and leads to suffering. Epictetus teaches, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In the context of dealing with toxic people, this means letting go of the need to prove them wrong or win their validation. Your peace is not dependent on their recognition or understanding. Finally, toxic people can only disturb your life if you grant them access. Stoicism invites you to take an inventory of who you allow into your inner circle. Are their actions aligned with your values and goals? Are they uplifting or draining? While you may encounter toxic individuals in unavoidable situations at work, in family settings or social circles, you always have the power to choose your level of engagement. You're not obligated to participate in their drama or absorb their negativity. In understanding toxicity through a Stoic lens, you begin to see it as a challenge rather than an insurmountable problem. Toxic individuals, like all obstacles, provide an opportunity to strengthen your virtues. They test your patience, resilience, and clarity of thought. By viewing them as teachers, however unpleasant, you shift your focus from being a victim to becoming a student of life. This mindset sets the foundation for everything that follows, empowering you to face toxicity not with fear or frustration, but with wisdom and grace. Stoicism is built upon one profound yet simple truth. There are things within your control and there are things outside of it. Toxic people fall firmly into the latter category. You cannot control their behavior, their words, or their intentions. However, you have complete control over how you respond to them. This distinction is known as the dichotomy of control, and it is the key to maintaining your inner peace amidst the chaos of dealing with difficult individuals. Epictetus puts it succinctly: some things are up to us and some things are not. The actions, attitudes, and emotions of others are outside your domain of control. Trying to change or fix a toxic person is like trying to command the wind. It is an exercise in futility that will only leave you frustrated and drained. Instead, the Stoic focuses solely on what lies within their power, their own thoughts, choices, and actions. When confronted with toxic behavior, remind yourself that their actions are their responsibility, not yours. You do not control their character, their values, or the choices they make. What you do control is your perception of the situation. Toxic people often thrive on eliciting reactions. They gain power when they see that their words or actions have disturbed your inner balance. But if you can train yourself to step back and observe without immediate judgment or reaction, you deny them that power. Consider this: when a toxic person says or does something harmful, what is your immediate response? Do you feel anger, frustration, or sadness? These emotions arise not from their behavior itself, but from the meaning you assign to it. Marcus Aurelius teaches, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. This realization is liberating. You can choose to reinterpret the situation in a way that preserves your peace. For instance, if someone insults you, you have a choice. You can interpret their words as a personal attack and become upset, or you can view them as evidence of the person's ignorance or pain and remain unmoved. This isn't about suppressing your emotions, but about reframing the situation to reflect your values and maintain your composure. By controlling your internal response, you shift the dynamic entirely. Another critical aspect of the dichotomy of control is understanding the limits of influence. While you can't control toxic people, you can influence the environment you create around them. Set boundaries that protect your peace and make it clear what behaviors you will and won't tolerate. This isn't about changing them. It's about taking ownership of your space and energy. For example, if a colleague constantly undermines you, you might choose to limit unnecessary interactions with them and focus on doing your work with integrity. You cannot stop their undermining behavior, but you can ensure it does not derail your focus or self-respect. Letting go of what you cannot control doesn't mean resignation or passivity. It is an act of strength and clarity. When you stop wasting energy on what you can't change, you free up that energy to focus on what truly matters: your own growth, values, and actions. Toxic people lose their hold on you when you stop investing emotional energy into trying to fix or change them. Instead, direct that energy toward becoming the best version of yourself. This practice may not come easily at first. Toxic people often provoke deep emotional responses that can cloud your ability to think rationally. But as Marcus Aurelius advises, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is your constant reminder. Your mind, your peace, and your actions are always within your control. When you fully embrace this truth, toxic people cease to have the ability to harm you, and as you move through life, you will encounter many situations that test your understanding of control. Toxic individuals are just one form of challenge among many, but by mastering this Stoic principle, you prepare yourself not only to face these people with grace, but to approach all of life's adversities with the same calm and centered resolve. Control what you can, let go of the rest, and discover the profound freedom that comes with living in harmony with this truth. Toxic people are like storms. They bring chaos, noise, and turbulence into your life, but storms cannot shake what is deeply rooted. Inner stillness, as taught by the Stoics, is the anchor that keeps you steady when confronted with the disruptive behaviors of others. It is not passive silence or withdrawal. It is an active, intentional state of calm that empowers you to respond to life and to toxic people with wisdom and clarity. The Stoics believed that the mind, when untrained, is like a restless sea, easily stirred by external events. Toxic individuals often aim to stir this unrest by provoking anger, fear, or frustration. However, Marcus Aurelius offers a powerful insight. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Inner stillness is the cultivation of that power. It is the practice of returning your attention to what matters and letting go of distractions that do not serve your purpose. How do we achieve this stillness in the face of toxicity? It begins with self-awareness. When someone says or does something harmful, pause before reacting. Observe your emotions without judgment. Are you feeling anger, hurt, or annoyance? Instead of letting these emotions dictate your response, recognize them as passing states. As Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This moment of observation creates a gap between stimulus and response, allowing you to act from a place of calm rather than impulse. Inner stillness is not something you achieve overnight. It requires daily practice. The Stoics recommend techniques such as journaling, meditation, and reflective silence to train the mind. In the evening, reflect on your interactions. Did you remain calm when faced with toxicity? If not, what triggered you? This self-inquiry is not about self-criticism, but about learning to navigate future encounters more effectively. Another vital component of inner stillness is focusing on your higher purpose. Toxic people often succeed in disturbing you because they distract you from what truly matters. By clarifying your values and goals, you create a mental compass that keeps you on track. When someone tries to pull you into petty conflicts or emotional turmoil, remind yourself of your greater mission. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary?" If engaging with toxic behavior does not serve your purpose, let it go. Stillness also involves accepting the world and its people as they are. Toxic individuals often act out of ignorance, pain, or fear. Understanding this can help you practice compassion without allowing yourself to be dragged into their negativity. As Marcus Aurelius observed, you will meet people who are ungrateful, dishonest, arrogant, jealous, and surly. Treat them as they deserve, but do not let them take control of your mind. Inner stillness allows you to engage with others from a place of strength, not weakness. Breathing techniques are another practical tool for cultivating stillness. When you feel yourself becoming agitated or overwhelmed by a toxic person's words or actions, take a few deep breaths. Focus on the rhythm of your inhale and exhale. This simple act calms your nervous system and brings your mind back to the present moment, where you can choose your response with clarity. Remember, inner stillness is not about suppressing emotions, but about mastering them. Toxic people thrive on eliciting reactions because it gives them control. By cultivating stillness, you deny them that control. You become unshakable, like a mountain unmoved by the winds. The power of inner stillness extends beyond dealing with toxic individuals. It becomes a way of life, a source of strength in all circumstances. When your mind is calm and centered, external chaos loses its grip on you. You are free to live according to your values, unburdened by the actions or opinions of others. This is the essence of Stoic freedom, to be in control of yourself, no matter what storms surround you. One of the most empowering Stoic tools for dealing with toxic people is mastering the art of indifference. This isn't about apathy or ignoring problems. Rather, it's about practicing apatheia, a state of being unshaken by external circumstances or emotions that do not serve your virtue or peace. Toxic people lose their power over you when you meet their behavior with indifference, when you simply refuse to let it disturb your inner calm. The Stoics believe that we give too much weight to things that are ultimately insignificant in the grand scheme of life. Toxic words, petty insults, and manipulative behaviors are only as impactful as we allow them to be. Marcus Aurelius teaches you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Toxic people thrive on reaction. By practicing indifference, you deprive them of the emotional fuel they seek. Indifference does not mean you approve of toxic behavior. It means recognizing that such actions are outside your control and therefore not worth your emotional energy. Epictetus advises, "It's not things themselves that trouble us, but our opinions about them." When someone says something cruel or acts in a harmful way, ask yourself, what judgment am I placing on this? Why does it matter? This shift in perspective often reveals how much of their influence comes from your interpretation rather than their actions. Here's an example. Imagine a co-worker undermines you in a meeting. Your initial reaction might be anger, embarrassment, or even self-doubt, but through the lens of Stoicism, you realize their behavior reflects their character, not yours. You remind yourself that your value is not determined by their words or actions. You focus on maintaining your integrity and delivering your best work. In doing so, you render their toxicity powerless. To cultivate indifference, practice emotional detachment. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings, but rather observing them without becoming enslaved by them. When someone provokes you, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, does this truly affect my virtue? Does it harm my ability to act with wisdom, courage, justice, or self-discipline? If the answer is no, let it pass like a cloud drifting across the sky. Marcus Aurelius likened such moments to a passing thought. It is all ephemeral, both memory and the object of memory. Another way to practice indifference is through visualization. The Stoics often used a technique called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. Before facing a situation where you know a toxic person will be present, visualize the worst they could say or do. Imagine them insulting you, criticizing you, or trying to manipulate you. Then visualize yourself remaining calm, unaffected, and focused on what truly matters. This mental preparation helps you respond with composure when the moment arises. Indifference is not an excuse to avoid taking action when necessary. If a toxic person crosses a boundary or acts unjustly, you should respond in a way that aligns with your values. But even in those moments, maintain your inner calm. Your response should come from a place of strength, not reactivity. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." A critical element of indifference is accepting that you cannot please everyone. Toxic people often manipulate others by preying on their desire for approval or fear of rejection. The Stoics remind us that seeking the validation of others is a trap. Epictetus advises, if you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless or stupid in extraneous matters. In other words, let go of the need to impress toxic individuals or win their favor. Their opinions are not your concern. The art of indifference is a skill that requires practice. Toxic individuals will test your resolve, but every encounter is an opportunity to strengthen your Stoic mindset. By meeting their negativity with indifference, you free yourself from their influence and reclaim your power. You become like a rock in a storm, unshaken, unyielding, and fully in control of yourself. When you master the art of indifference, you not only neutralize the impact of toxic people, but also cultivate a deeper sense of peace and freedom. Toxicity no longer consumes your energy or disturbs your focus. You walk through life with clarity, knowing that your inner world remains untouched by the chaos of others. This is the essence of Stoic strength, to remain steadfast, virtuous, and at peace, regardless of what comes your way. Stoicism is often associated with detachment and self-discipline, but it is also deeply rooted in the practice of compassion. Dealing with toxic people presents an opportunity to exercise this virtue. However, Stoic compassion is not about enabling or tolerating harmful behavior. Instead, it is about understanding the flaws and struggles of others without becoming entangled in their negativity. This balance, compassion without attachment, is a cornerstone of dealing with toxicity in a way that strengthens your character. When encountering toxic individuals, the Stoics encourage us to see their behavior as a reflection of their internal struggles. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, whenever someone does wrong by you, immediately consider what notion of good or evil they have that made them do it. When you see this, you'll pity them and avoid anger. This perspective shifts your focus from anger to understanding. Recognizing that toxic people act out of ignorance, pain, or insecurity can help you approach them with empathy rather than hostility. Compassion, however, does not mean you must accept harmful behavior. Stoic compassion is grounded in justice, one of the 4 cardinal virtues. Justice requires us to treat others fairly, but also to protect ourselves and others from harm. When dealing with toxic people, this means setting clear boundaries while still acknowledging their humanity. You can say, "I understand where you're coming from, but this behavior is unacceptable," and mean it sincerely. One of the greatest challenges in practicing compassion without attachment is resisting the urge to fix toxic individuals. Many people fall into the trap of trying to heal or change someone who is stuck in destructive patterns. While this impulse may stem from a place of kindness, the Stoics remind us that we cannot control others. Epictetus advises, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Focus on your own actions and values and release the need to correct the faults of others." Practicing compassion also involves reframing your perspective on toxic behavior. Instead of seeing it as a personal attack, view it as an expression of the other person's inner turmoil. Marcus Aurelius observed, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." A toxic person's actions are often the result of a mind clouded by negativity. By seeing this clearly, you can respond with understanding rather than resentment. This doesn't mean excusing toxic behavior. It means acknowledging its root causes without allowing it to harm you. Compassion allows you to maintain your own integrity while choosing not to retaliate or sink to the same level. As Seneca advised, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." In practicing compassion, you not only neutralize the toxic person's influence over you, but also set an example of virtue for others. To cultivate compassion without attachment, begin with self-reflection. Ask yourself, am I responding to this person's behavior in a way that aligns with my values? Am I acting out of anger, fear, or a need for validation? These questions can help you identify when you are becoming too emotionally entangled in the situation. When you catch yourself reacting impulsively, take a step back, breathe, and refocus on what matters. Another practical approach is to use mental exercises to reinforce compassion. For example, imagine the toxic person as a child struggling with their own pain or insecurities. This visualization doesn't excuse their behavior, but helps you respond with empathy rather than anger. You might also remind yourself of the impermanence of their actions. Marcus Aurelius said, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it." Toxic people come and go, but your response shapes your character. Lastly, know when to walk away. Compassion does not require you to remain in a toxic situation that harms your well-being. Stoicism teaches us to act with wisdom, and sometimes the wisest course of action is to remove yourself from a harmful environment. You can wish someone well and release them from your life without guilt or malice. This is the ultimate act of compassion, respecting their humanity while protecting your own peace. Practicing compassion without attachment is not easy, but it is deeply rewarding. It allows you to engage with toxic people from a place of strength and virtue rather than fear or frustration. You can face their negativity with empathy and grace, knowing that their behavior does not define you. In doing so, you transform their toxicity into an opportunity for growth, embodying the Stoic ideal of wisdom and resilience. Toxic people often thrive on eliciting impulsive reactions. Their words and actions are designed to provoke, destabilize, or manipulate. The Stoics, however, teach us that true strength lies not in reacting impulsively, but in responding thoughtfully. The power of delayed response is a transformative skill that allows you to maintain control of your emotions and actions, even in the face of provocation. It is the ultimate defense against the chaos toxic people seek to create. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control. These things are not asking to be judged by you. Leave them alone." This idea of stepping back, pausing, and refusing to give immediate judgment is at the heart of delayed response. When confronted with toxic behavior, the Stoics urge us to resist the urge to react in the heat of the moment. Why is this so powerful? Because it shifts the dynamic of power. Toxic individuals often count on immediate emotional responses, anger, frustration, defensiveness, to assert control over the situation. By delaying your response, You remove yourself from their influence. You take the time to process what has happened, evaluate your emotions, and choose a response that aligns with your values and long-term goals. Practicing delayed response begins with awareness. When someone says something hurtful or provocative, your immediate reaction might be anger or defensiveness. The Stoics teach us to observe this impulse without acting on it. Epictetus advises, when you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger. This doesn't mean ignoring bad behavior. It means recognizing that your initial reaction is often driven by emotion rather than reason. By pausing, you give yourself the opportunity to respond with clarity and wisdom. A practical technique for cultivating delayed response is what modern psychologists call the 10-second rule. When you feel the urge to react, pause and count to 10. Use this time to breathe deeply and reflect on the situation. Ask yourself questions like, what am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling this way? Is this worth my energy or attention? What response would align with my values and character? This brief pause can make all the difference. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond with intention, turning what could have been a heated confrontation into an opportunity for self-mastery. The Stoics also emphasize the importance of understanding the source of your emotions. Toxic people often succeed in provoking us because they touch on our insecurities or unexamined fears. When someone criticizes you unfairly or acts maliciously, it might stir feelings of inadequacy, anger, or frustration. But as Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out this judgment now. By pausing, you give yourself the chance to examine these judgments and recognize that the toxic person's behavior is a reflection of them, not you. Delayed response also allows you to assess whether the situation even requires a response. Not every provocation deserves your attention. Toxic people often use drama as a weapon, drawing others into unnecessary conflicts. By taking the time to evaluate the situation, you can decide whether engaging is worth your time and energy. Often, the wisest course of action is silence. As Seneca said, it is often better to say nothing. Silence is not only the safest course, but also the most appropriate one when you feel yourself becoming heated. For situations that do require a response, the pause allows you to formulate a reply that is measured, composed, and aligned with your values. Responding calmly, even to toxicity, demonstrates your strength and self-control. Imagine a scenario where a toxic person criticizes you unfairly in public. Instead of snapping back or retreating, you take a moment to pause, breathe, and respond. Thank you for your feedback, I'll consider it. Such a response disarms their aggression and preserves your dignity. Beyond specific encounters, delayed response is a practice that transforms how you approach life. The Stoics saw adversity, including toxic people, as an opportunity to strengthen virtue. Every time you pause before reacting, you exercise patience, temperance, and wisdom. These moments of self-control accumulate, building a reservoir of inner strength that protects you from future provocations. It's important to note that delayed response does not mean suppressing your emotions or avoiding confrontation. The Stoics valued justice and encouraged action when necessary. If a toxic person crosses a boundary or harms others, delaying your response ensures that your action is deliberate and effective rather than reactive and chaotic. By pausing, you approach the situation with clarity, addressing the behavior without escalating the conflict. To make delayed response a habit, incorporate reflective practices into your daily routine. Journaling is particularly effective. At the end of each day, reflect on situations where you were tempted to react impulsively. Ask yourself, did I pause before responding? Was my response aligned with my values? What can I do differently next time? This practice helps you identify patterns and strengthens your ability to pause in future interactions. Another helpful practice is visualization. Before entering a situation where you might encounter a toxic person, mentally rehearse staying calm and delaying your response. Visualize them saying or doing something provocative and imagine yourself pausing, breathing, and responding with grace. This mental preparation equips you to handle real-life encounters more effectively. Over time, the power of delayed response becomes second nature. Toxic people lose their ability to provoke you, and you gain a profound sense of control over your emotions and actions. You begin to see their behavior not as a threat, but as an opportunity to practice self-mastery. Each pause, each measured response reinforces your inner strength and resilience. The power of delayed response is more than a tactic, it's a way of life. It's a commitment to act from a place of wisdom and virtue rather than being ruled by impulse or emotion. When you master this skill, toxic people no longer dictate your reactions. You become unshakable, confident, and free, living each moment with clarity and intention. Virtue is the heart of Stoicism, and it is your most powerful shield against the negativity of toxic people. The Stoics believed that a life well lived is one aligned with virtue, practicing wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Toxic individuals thrive on creating disruption, sowing doubt, and undermining others, but they cannot corrupt your character unless you allow them. When you live by your virtues, their toxicity becomes irrelevant, like arrows bouncing off a well-forged shield. The first step in fortifying yourself with virtue is recognizing that external challenges, including difficult people, are opportunities to practice and strengthen your moral character. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Toxic individuals are not merely obstacles, they are tests. Their behavior provides a chance for you to cultivate patience, self-control, and resilience. Each encounter with negativity is an opportunity to deepen your commitment to living virtuously. Wisdom, the first of the four Stoic virtues, enables you to see toxic people clearly. Instead of reacting to their provocations, wisdom allows you to step back and assess the situation rationally. Why is this person behaving this way? What do they hope to gain? More importantly, how should you respond in a way that aligns with your principles? Toxic people often aim to cloud your judgment with anger or fear, but wisdom clears the fog, letting you act with intention rather than emotion. Courage, the second virtue, empowers you to confront toxic behavior when necessary. Stoicism does not advocate passivity. It encourages you to act with integrity even when it's difficult. Setting boundaries, speaking up against injustice, or walking away from a harmful relationship requires bravery. Toxic individuals often rely on others' fear to maintain their influence. But when you act with courage, you break their hold. Seneca reminds us, it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the determination to do what is right despite it. Justice, the third virtue, is crucial in dealing with toxicity. While it might be tempting to retaliate against toxic individuals or meet their negativity with your own, justice calls you to treat others fairly and uphold your values. This doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior. It means responding to it in a way that reflects your commitment to doing what is right. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Let your actions, even in the face of toxicity, demonstrate the kind of person you strive to be. Temperance, the fourth virtue, is the practice of self-control and moderation. Toxic people often push you to extremes, attempting to provoke outbursts or draw you into drama. Temperance helps you maintain balance, ensuring that your actions are guided by reason rather than emotion. When someone insults or criticizes you, temperance reminds you to pause, breathe, and choose your response carefully. It prevents you from overreacting and keeps you grounded in your principles. Living by these virtues creates a kind of invincibility. Toxic people may try to harm you with their words, actions, or attitudes, but they cannot touch your inner core if you remain steadfast in your character. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears." When you focus on living virtuously, you realize that the behavior of others cannot truly harm you unless you allow it to. Your peace and integrity are in your hands. This approach also shifts your focus from external circumstances to internal mastery. Toxic individuals often try to make you feel powerless or dependent on their approval. By centering your life on virtue, you reclaim your autonomy. You no longer look to others for validation or let their opinions dictate your self-worth. Your worth is rooted in your actions and your alignment with your values. This inner strength makes you unshakable, no matter how toxic someone else's behavior may be. To cultivate the Stoic shield of virtue, practice daily reflection. At the end of each day, ask yourself, did I act wisely? Was I courageous in the face of challenges? Did I treat others justly? Did I maintain self-control? This simple habit reinforces your commitment to virtue and helps you identify areas for growth. Over time, living virtuously becomes second nature, and toxic individuals lose their ability to disrupt your peace. Another key practice is to keep your focus on what truly matters. Toxic people often try to distract you with petty conflicts or drama, pulling your attention away from your goals. But as Marcus Aurelius advises, concentrate every minute like a Roman on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice, and on freeing yourself from all other distractions. When you stay focused on your purpose and values, you render their toxicity irrelevant. The Stoic shield of virtue is not just a defense, it is a way of life. It transforms every encounter, even with the most toxic individuals, into an opportunity for growth. By living according to wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, you protect yourself from negativity and embody the principles of a life well lived. Toxic people may continue their behavior, but they will find no foothold in your life. Your virtue is your freedom, and no one can take it from you. Stoicism teaches that adversity, no matter how unpleasant, is not an obstacle to our growth, but a tool for our development. Toxic people, while challenging to deal with, serve as one of life's most effective tests of character. Instead of viewing their behavior as a source of frustration, the Stoics encourage us to see it as an opportunity to cultivate resilience, patience, and virtue. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Toxic individuals, rather than being barriers, become stepping stones to personal growth. Adversity, including the presence of toxic people, reveals who we truly are. It strips away pretense and exposes the areas where we need to grow. Epictetus observed, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are." When someone criticizes you unfairly or tries to provoke you, your response reflects your inner state. Do you react with anger and frustration, or do you maintain your composure and act in alignment with your values? Each encounter is a chance to refine your character. Toxic people are often relentless, testing your patience and emotional endurance, but the Stoics believe that challenges like these are necessary for developing strength. Seneca compared adversity to the way a fire tests the quality of metal. Fire is the test of gold, adversity of strong men. When faced with a toxic person, remind yourself that their behavior is not an obstacle, but a challenge to help you strengthen your virtues. One of the most powerful ways to embrace adversity is to reframe how you perceive it. Toxic people often provoke anger, frustration, or sadness because we view their behavior as an attack or a disruption. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. By changing your perspective, you can transform a toxic encounter into an opportunity to practice patience, forgiveness, or self-control. For example, imagine a colleague who consistently undermines you in meetings. Instead of seeing this as a personal affront, consider it a chance to practice equanimity. Each time they try to provoke you, you have the opportunity to remain calm and composed, demonstrating your strength of character. Over time, you'll find that their behavior no longer affects you the way it once did. What was once a source of stress becomes a tool for growth. Toxic people also challenge us to focus on what we can control. You cannot change their behavior, but you can change your reaction to it. Epictetus advises, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you encounter toxic behavior, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this moment to become better, stronger, and more virtuous? By reframing the situation in this way, you reclaim your power and transform adversity into an advantage. Adversity also teaches us humility. Toxic people often highlight our own flaws or insecurities. For example, if someone's criticism deeply upsets you, it might be because their words touch on a truth you're not ready to confront. The Stoics encourage us to use these moments as opportunities for self-reflection. Seneca said, "A man's worth is measured by the worth of what he values." If someone's negativity affects you deeply, it's worth examining why. Are you placing too much importance on their opinion? Are you giving them power over your peace of mind? These questions can lead to profound self-awareness and growth. Another way to embrace adversity is to view toxic people as teachers. While their lessons may be harsh, they can help you develop invaluable skills. They teach you how to set boundaries, how to stand firm in your values, and how to maintain your composure under pressure. Each encounter with a toxic individual is a training ground for the virtues that Stoicism holds dear: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Practicing gratitude for adversity is a radical yet transformative Stoic exercise. It might seem counterintuitive to feel grateful for toxic people, but Marcus Aurelius advised, when you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. This includes the privilege of being tested, of being given the chance to grow. Toxic individuals, in their own way, contribute to your development by challenging you to rise above their negativity. Finally, embracing adversity means accepting that it is a natural part of life. Toxic people will always exist, just as storms, illnesses, and other challenges are inevitable. The Stoics teach us to accept these realities with grace and to use them as opportunities to practice resilience. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have endured countless troubles, all of which have passed like a shadow, yet you still stand here, undefeated. When you embrace the role of adversity in your life, you shift your mindset from victimhood to empowerment. Toxic people no longer have the ability to disturb your peace or derail your progress. Instead, they become catalysts for your growth, sharpening your virtues and strengthening your resolve. Each interaction, no matter how difficult, becomes a chance to practice Stoic principles and grow into the person you aspire to be. This is the ultimate triumph over adversity, to transform challenges into opportunities and emerge stronger, wiser, and more unshakable than before. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of self-mastery, but it also recognizes that true wisdom involves setting boundaries. Toxic people thrive in environments where boundaries are weak, where they can manipulate, exploit, or dominate others. Setting clear and firm boundaries is not only a way to protect your peace, but also an essential practice of living virtuously. It reflects the Stoic principles of justice, self-respect, and accountability. The first step in setting boundaries is recognizing that you have the right and the responsibility to protect your well-being. Many people hesitate to establish boundaries because they fear confrontation or rejection, but the Stoics remind us that our primary obligation is to ourselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't waste the rest of your time here worrying about other people unless it affects the common good. It will keep you from doing anything useful." This means focusing on what truly matters and not allowing toxic individuals to distract you from your higher purpose. Boundaries begin with self-awareness. Ask yourself, what behaviors am I willing to tolerate? What are my limits? How do I want to be treated? Clarity about your own values and needs is essential for setting effective boundaries. Toxic people often blur these lines, making you question your worth or your right to say no. Stoicism teaches you to anchor yourself in reason and virtue, using these as a guide to define what is acceptable in your relationships. Once you've identified your boundaries, the next step is communicating them clearly and assertively. This requires courage, a core Stoic virtue. Toxic individuals may try to challenge your boundaries, dismiss them, or guilt you into compromising them. However, maintaining your boundaries is an act of justice, both toward yourself and others. As Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Rather than arguing or justifying your decisions, let your actions demonstrate your commitment to self-respect. For example, if a toxic friend constantly interrupts your time with negativity, you might say, "I value our friendship, but I need to limit conversations that revolve around complaints. I'm here to support you, but I also need to protect my own energy." This response is firm yet kind, embodying the Stoic balance of compassion and self-respect. If they continue to ignore your boundary, it's your responsibility to enforce it, whether that means limiting contact or removing them from your life entirely. Enforcing boundaries requires consistency. Toxic people often test limits, hoping you'll give in over time. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." This means standing firm in your boundaries without resorting to the same manipulative or aggressive tactics toxic individuals use. Enforce your limits calmly and confidently without anger or resentment. Your steadfastness will demonstrate your strength and integrity. Stoic boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about controlling yourself. You cannot force a toxic person to respect your limits, but you can choose how you respond when they cross them. If someone violates your boundary, you have the power to walk away, disengage, or reevaluate the relationship. Epictetus said, "When someone behaves badly towards you, ask yourself, what made them do it?" Once you understand their point of view, you'll find it easier to be patient. This patience, however, does not mean tolerating harm. It means responding with wisdom rather than impulsivity, ensuring that your actions align with your values. Setting boundaries also requires emotional detachment. Toxic individuals often weaponize guilt, shame, or fear to keep you entangled in their negativity. They may accuse you of being selfish, unkind, or ungrateful when you establish limits. The Stoics teach us that these emotional manipulations have no power unless we grant them importance. Marcus Aurelius advises, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When someone tries to guilt you into compromising your boundaries, Recognize that their behavior reflects their character, not yours. Another key aspect of boundary setting is accepting that not everyone will respect or understand your limits. This is where the Stoic practice of letting go comes into play. You cannot control how others react to your boundaries, but you can control your commitment to maintaining them. Toxic individuals may try to retaliate by withdrawing their approval or creating conflict. In these moments, remind yourself of your ultimate goal, living a life of virtue and peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think or do, only what you do." Your boundaries are not about pleasing others, but about staying true to yourself. Setting boundaries is also an act of compassion, both for yourself and the other person. By establishing limits, you create clarity in the relationship, reducing misunderstandings and unnecessary conflict. You also give the toxic person an opportunity to reflect on their behavior and choose whether or not to adjust it. While their response is beyond your control, your boundaries serve as a guidepost for healthier interactions. Finally, remember that boundaries are not fixed. They can evolve as your relationships and circumstances change. Regularly assess your boundaries to ensure they align with your current values and needs. If you find that a particular boundary is no longer serving you or is too rigid, adjust it accordingly. Stoicism teaches us to be adaptable, not rigid, in our pursuit of virtue and peace. When you set boundaries with wisdom, you reclaim your power. Toxic people lose their ability to manipulate, control, or disrupt your life. Your boundaries become a shield, protecting your energy and focus so you can dedicate yourself to what truly matters. By living in alignment with your values and enforcing your limits with consistency and compassion, you create a life that is grounded in self-respect, integrity, and freedom. This is the ultimate victory over toxicity, not defeating the other person, but mastering yourself. The final secret to overpowering toxic people lies in realizing that their power over you only exists if you grant it. The ultimate freedom is living for yourself, aligned with your values, virtues, and purpose, without being tethered to the judgments, actions, or approval of others. This is the essence of Stoicism, understanding that the only life you can control is your own, and that true peace comes from within. Toxic people often try to entangle you in their drama or manipulate you into prioritizing their needs above your own. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Living for yourself does not mean selfishness or disregard for others. It means taking responsibility for your own happiness and refusing to let others dictate your life. The Stoics teach that your worth is determined not by the opinions of others, but by the alignment of your actions with virtue. Toxic individuals may try to undermine your confidence, criticize your choices, or project their insecurities onto you. However, Epictetus advises, know first who you are and then adorn yourself accordingly. When you know your values and live in accordance with them, external negativity loses its grip. You no longer seek validation from those who cannot offer it genuinely, and you stop trying to win the approval of those who thrive on conflict or control. To live for yourself, you must cultivate a deep sense of self-awareness. Reflect on your priorities and ask, what do I value most? What kind of person do I want to be? Am I living in alignment with my goals and principles? Toxic people often distract you from these questions by drawing your attention to petty conflicts or their own needs. But by consistently redirecting your focus to your own path, you regain control of your life. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, concentrate on what you have to do. Fix your gaze on it. Remind yourself that your task is to be a good human being, to cultivate your virtues. Living for yourself also involves letting go of the need to control others. Toxic people often provoke frustration because we wish they would change or act differently. But the Stoics teach that trying to change what is outside your control is futile and leads to suffering. Epictetus said, "Don't hope that events will turn out the way you want. Welcome events in whichever way they happen. This is the path to peace." When you accept toxic people for who they are, you free yourself from the exhausting task of trying to fix them. Instead, you focus on your own growth and let their behavior remain their responsibility. A powerful way to reclaim your autonomy is to stop giving away your attention to toxic individuals. Toxic people often crave attention, using conflict and negativity as tools to keep themselves at the center of your focus. Marcus Aurelius advises, "Do not be distracted by their darkness. You are not obligated to participate in their chaos." Redirect your energy to pursuits that bring you joy, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose. When you invest your time and attention in meaningful activities, the influence of toxic individuals naturally fades. Another essential component of living for yourself is embracing solitude and reflection. Toxic people often exploit our fear of being alone, manipulating us into maintaining unhealthy relationships. However, the Stoics saw solitude as a source of strength. Seneca wrote, "No man can live a happy life if he turns everything to his own purposes, but for the one who learns to live for himself, the whole world seems tranquil." Solitude allows you to connect with your inner self, clarify your priorities, and cultivate a sense of self-reliance. It reminds you that your peace is not dependent on anyone else. Living for yourself also means defining success on your own terms. Toxic individuals may try to impose their standards or criticize your choices, but the Stoics teach that success is living in harmony with your principles. Marcus Aurelius asks, "What is your vocation? To be a good person. If you remain true to your values, acting with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, you are already successful, regardless of external opinions or outcomes." Finally, living for yourself involves forgiveness, not for the benefit of the toxic person, but for your own freedom. Holding onto resentment keeps you tethered to their negativity. Marcus Aurelius advises, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." By forgiving, you release the emotional weight they've placed on you, allowing yourself to move forward unburdened. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing their behavior. It means refusing to let it control your present or future. Now, when you live for yourself, toxic people lose their ability to harm you. Their opinions no longer affect your self-worth, their actions no longer disturb your peace, and their presence no longer dictates your path. You realize that their negativity is their burden, not yours. This is the ultimate freedom the Stoics spoke of, a life rooted in virtue, guided by purpose, and free from the chains of external influence. Living for yourself is not selfish, it is an act of courage and integrity. It is a commitment to becoming the best version of yourself and refusing to let others pull you away from that goal. By embracing this freedom, you transcend the influence of toxic people and discover a deeper sense of peace, fulfillment, and joy. This is the Stoic way. To live not for the applause of others, but for the quiet satisfaction of knowing you are true to yourself. Overcoming toxic people is not about defeating them, but about mastering yourself. As we've explored throughout these chapters, Stoicism provides the tools to rise above negativity, cultivate inner peace, and reclaim your power. By practicing the principles of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, you transform every challenge, no matter how difficult, into an opportunity for growth. Remember, toxic people only have as much influence over your life as you allow. By controlling your reactions, setting boundaries, and staying true to your values, you shield yourself from their negativity and live a life rooted in strength and purpose. The secret to overpowering toxic people lies not in changing them, but in transforming how you respond. This journey is not about them. It's about you, your growth, and your freedom. If you found this video insightful and empowering, we encourage you to take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Share this wisdom with someone who might benefit from it and join our growing community dedicated to Stoic principles and personal growth. Your support helps us continue creating content that inspires, educates, and empowers. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Together, we are building a life of resilience, peace, and virtue. Until next time, remember, you have the power over your mind. Live wisely, live courageously, and most importantly, live freely.